Greetings, fellow Lifeline Technique practitioners, and infinite love and gratitude. Many of you already know me as we once shared classrooms together while training to be certified Lifeline practitioners. But to those of you who are meeting me for the first time, my name is Bernie. My wife and I began our journey to become practitioners back in late 2007 and became certified in July of 2009. The Lifeline Technique is nothing but inclusive, and Dr. Darren has opened the doors for many of us to incorporate our knowledge of other techniques and systems with our facilitation of Lifeline sessions. I want to elaborate on an aspect of the Lifeline Technique that I feel is the most important aspect of running a successful session. It is an area in which I have been studying since before I ventured on my journey to become certified, and an area that fascinates me immensely. That area is manifesting, or consciously creating, our intentions, and how to make that intention a reality in our objective world. What I'm about to show you will be the subject of a book I am currently writing, and you will be getting a sneak peek into the core concepts of material I have been studying for many years. We are electromagnetic beings that are comprised of energy that is constantly in motion. Our energy field is comprised of a number of things, such as the quality of our mental, emotional, and physical health. We all vibrate at specific frequencies. In fact, all things vibrate. When I say all things, do I mean some things and not others? No, not at all. I mean all things. Health is a specific vibrational frequency just as much as pain, fears, and stress are. In fact, different pains, fears, and stressors all vibrate at varying degrees of frequencies. When we talk in these terms, we are referring to the Law of Polarity. On your screen is an image of a piano keyboard. Each key vibrates at a specific frequency. If you play two keys at the same time, you will either get a harmonic sound or one that reflects disharmony and manifests as something that doesn't sound quite right to the ear. Individually, each note on their own displays no disharmony. It is only when one frequency is played at the same time as another that we determine whether there is harmony or disharmony. The more keys we press at the same time increases our chances of getting disharmonious frequencies. Frequencies are directly connected to the nature of our relationships with people, places, things, circumstances, dynamic situations, and most importantly, with ourselves. Pain, fear, and stress are a result of the frequencies that are at odds with one another. Play different notes, in other words, bring in different frequencies, and we can affect change on the outcome. Now let's talk about magnets. We already established that we are electromagnetic beings. That is, we are a combination of electricity and magnetism. When you reflect on the properties of a magnet, we notice that their field is invisible. But we know from junior high experiments that it has an effect on the environment around it, especially when confronted with other polarities. We also remember that a magnet will have two poles, known as north and south, negative and positive, masculine and feminine. Going back to electromagnetism, would it be safe to say that we also exhibit these exact same properties in our personality? Of course it does. As I mentioned a few moments ago, our personal magnetism is made up of our thoughts, emotions, and physical well-being. Can we consciously change our personal magnetism? Think about it. If we are electromagnetic beings, can we change our own personal magnetism? The answer is yes. We can change our personal magnetism by changing one or more of the causes, thoughts, emotions, and the quality of food and water we intake. So this leads us to another question. As we are all referring to the processes of running a Lifeline session, how can we change our personal magnetism to affect change in a person's reality to one of their choosing? The second step in the 1-2-3 plan is to set an intention. To get to the intention, we must first identify an expression of imbalance, and then the client chooses an intention, usually somewhere along the line of polarity that the symptom is expressing. It sounds a lot like two ends of a magnet, doesn't it? The symptom expresses at one end, the negative polarity, and the intention vibrates at the polar opposite. When we are feeling sad, we are inclined to choose to be happy. When our choice to decide is taken away from us, we are inclined to want freedom. When we perceive lack in our lives, we would consciously choose abundance. Do you see that this is a natural progression and inherent in us to automatically want to choose the polar opposite of any pain, fear, or stress in our lives? In my opinion, it is also important that we steer the intentions towards the expressions of this polarity, based on my understanding of these principles and how they manifest in our objective reality. It is our job as facilitators to guide the recipients through identifying the symptom and then choosing an intention that is optimal for the huge shift in consciousness that we help facilitate. Dr. Darren does a fantastic job ensuring that we acknowledge that we don't heal or diagnose. Now let's look at the symptom. First, they identify a pain, fear, or stress. Then, we ask them to connect with what emotion that they feel as a result of connecting with the stressor. This is important. To the client, the stressor is basically like a locked door. The locked door prevents them from accessing what is beyond. But what is beyond? Well, that would be their intention. Locked doors need a key to open them, and thought forms are that key. Thought forms are made up of three components. They are the thought, the intention, which is also known as the why, and lastly, the emotion. Interestingly, these components make up our personal magnetism, don't they? I created a metaphor to show you what each aspect represents. The thought is like a car. It has energy of its own, but it sits idle, much like a car parked on the side of the road. It has no purpose. The intention is like the GPS system in a car. It is a direct reflection of their why. The more pure the reason why they want to manifest a new experience, the more powerful the Lifeline session will be. It dictates the final destination, the manifested outcome. Notice that we need to program that destination just like we need to input the coordinates or address in the GPS. The last component is the emotion. It is like the gas for the car. A car with no gas will never get to its destination. A car with not enough gas will also not get you to that final destination. Your thought form works in the same way. I hope that you are seeing why I put so much emphasis on this intention. If done haphazardly, there may not be enough gas in the car to get to the end intention. A session will get you results, but not near as much as one could get. The stronger the thought form and the more nourished it is, basically the more gas you give it, the more complete the Lifeline session will be. It will affect the degree of the final outcome of their session. I hope that you take time to contemplate this further, as it is extremely important. Now, let's take a closer look at the client symptom. Is it a thought form? Do they have a thought about the symptom? Yes. Does it have a GPS coordinate in its manifestation in their reality? Yes, it does. Does it generate an emotional response in them? Of course it does. In reflection on this information, would you agree that any thought that has an emotion attached will create a thought form? Think about the last person who cut you off on the road. Did you react? Think about the tone of voice your teenager is using to talk back to you. Does that trigger an emotional response? These are all thought forms. Any thought that generates an emotional response is a thought form. The emotion you are feeling, angry or calm, powerful or weak, is creating thought forms multiple times a day. These thought forms affect our personal magnetism, and they exist at specific frequencies. When we as practitioners successfully guide them through the intention, we are creating a thought form with a purpose. It has a GPS destination, and we need to ensure that they have enough gas to get there. Carefully and skillfully guiding them through this process will positively affect the outcome of the session. I will explain more about how this works a bit later. The first step to creating the intention is to identify what they would rather choose as an expression of their subconscious. That is the thought. What do they want? Do they want vibrant health? Do they struggle with judgment of a family member or friend and need to forgive so that they can let go? That is their thought, and that is just like the car. It exists as a potentiality, but has not become a reality. We need to apply two things to create the intention. Those two things are imagination and visualization. What is important to note with these two components is that the mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. I will say it again, as it's incredibly important to acknowledge. The mind does not know the difference between imagination and reality. All it recognizes is the subconscious response to the thoughts and emotions we have. Basically, the subconscious mind reacts to the thoughts, perceptions, and emotional responses that it receives from our conscious mind, the things we see, feel, hear, taste, and smell. In our training as practitioners, we are taught about the triune brain theory and how the conscious mind communicates with the subconscious mind. And so I won't delve into that further as it's a rabbit hole we don't need to go down at this time. Getting back on track. The client has an intention set, and now it is our job to bring them into the world of that ideal so that they can make it more of an experienced reality. You will use the tools of visualization and their imagination to assist in creating that intention. I want you to join me by closing your eyes. Sit comfortably. Back as straight as possible. I want you to take 3 deep breaths, slowly in and out through the nose. When you have a moment, connect with someone that has caused you stress from your past, recent or distant, in which you felt that they were wrong. How did it make you feel? Would you ever consciously choose to feel this emotion or have it manifest in your life? Nah, of course not. No one would ever choose to experience disharmony in their lives and in their relationships, correct? Good. If you are ready to let go and be free of this expression channel, then continue with this visualization. If you're not ready, that's okay, as you can revisit this process at such a time when you are ready. Continuing on, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at will change. Together, let's choose harmony as an expression of a clear intention that we seek. Make sure that you truly desire harmony that is for the highest good for all concerned. Harmony in your life, harmony in their life. This is your petition to the universal mind and to your higher self. We don't know what is for the highest good for all, and we shall release it to the universe to decide. Do not place any caveats and release any and all thoughts in the way you might feel that it should manifest. The intention for healing needs to come from a pure place of love. Love for you and all involved or affected. Take a moment. Feel yourself desiring harmony and seeing this harmony coming into this situation. Allow that desire to well up inside you as you choose the peace that comes from harmony in your life. Using your imagination, see yourself forgiving the other individual. From your perspective, see them as a key on a piano, vibrating at a specific frequency. And you also as a key on the piano, vibrating at your own frequency. Release your judgment by applying the healing frequencies of love and gratitude that comes from understanding. All is energy, and by forgiving, we can release the attachment that has been preventing them from changing. We hold the key to letting them go from the thought forms of their own mind. Now I want you to look a few weeks down the road and visualize this harmony and how it manifests in your day-to-day activities. See yourself no longer charged by this experience. What does it look like? How about a month down the road? See the beauty of this harmony manifesting in all aspects of your life. How about a year from now? As you visualize this harmony that has come to your future, but that you're visualizing in the now. What emotion do you feel? Allow this emotion to vibrate every cell of your body. Let's start with your toes. And let it supercharge every cell in your toes, your feet, your ankles. Being supercharged with this emotion. Move up to your hips. As you move up your legs, see every cell that makes up the bone, the tissues, the muscles, the blood, all vibrating with this emotion. Let's move up to the neck, your torso, outer extremities, your arms, hands, all your organs, all vibrating with this emotion. Allow it to supercharge every single cell with this emotion. Now move up to your head. All aspects of your head, your eyes, ears, brain, skin, even your senses, just being supercharged with this emotion. Now allow this emotion to extend and radiate and supercharge all aspects of your auric field. If you have a part of your body that is expressing pain in any way, focus now on that part of your body and allow this emotion to supercharge every single cell in that area. Does this send shockwaves up and down your spine? Does this emotion make you want to cry with the expression of this harmony and how it makes you feel? Hold on to this emotion a bit longer. It is yours, not in some future version of you, but in the now. As you're feeling this emotion, speak out loud with me right now. Infinite love and gratitude. So be it. When you're ready, open your eyes. Your thought form has sent out a signal into your subconscious, telling the universe of your desire. Now, a couple of things are set into motion. In this example, harmony was the intention, and the gas for the thought form was the intense emotion that supercharged every cell in your being. Your why is the pure intention of harmony that you seek in your life. It is a vibrational frequency. One of the universal laws that needs to be fulfilled is this: that which is not in harmony needs to fall away to make room for the full manifestation of your intention. When you run a lifeline on yourself or others, the muscle reflex testing will reveal patterns of imbalance that need to fall away to make room for your intention to become manifest. We all hold patterns of imbalance that keep systems of disharmony alive as expressions in our lives. If there is disharmony in your intention, it will manifest in the results of the Lifeline session and in the overall outcome of a person's outer or inner experience, depending on whether the symptom was manifesting inside you or outside of you in its expression. For all things to become a manifest reality, for ourselves or for anyone consciously choosing to manifest the reality, there are three things that we need to understand. Let's take a look at a very important milestone in our lives and its metaphor for the importance of the intention. All manifested things in our reality begin with conception. In our mind's eye, we conceive an idea or ideal. When you were conceived, you had two very important components meet. You had the sperm and the egg. Metaphorically, these two components, which I will call principles, met to create your reality when you combined a thought and an emotion. One is the masculine principle and the other is a feminine principle. When these two principles meet, one impregnates the other to form the foundation of what the thought form is to become. Next is incubation. As a baby, you spent 9 months, give or take, in the womb. The GPS programming embedded in the thought form that was you and what you were to become helped shape who you are as a person. Think of your DNA as a bit like GPS programming. The purity of your intention will dictate the final outcome when running a Lifeline session. When you run a Lifeline, it is part of the restructuring phase called incubation. The purer the gas in the car, the better it is for the vehicle's life expectancy. The same goes with how long we hold the emotions for our purest expression of our intentions. In this phase, we get the energy in the meridians flowing the right way. We connect with the negative emotions and how they've been expressing, and then we release them. And then we identify the holding pattern and disengage that. Following that, we close up the portal by sealing the assemblage point. Dr. Darren says it's kind of like psychic surgery because, well, metaphorically it is. Lastly, we have the manifested reality. Whether it is the body expressing radiant health, you perceiving the world around you from a place of inner peace, or you attracting a healthy and thriving relationship, it must now be locked into reality by some sort of system. In the Lifeline philosophy, we are taught that we process the day's experiences in our REM sleep. That is where the thought form gets locked into our reality when running a Lifeline session. The recipient of the Lifeline will process the session in their REM sleep. Sometimes there is further nurturing that must be applied when the session is done, sometimes not. That is where the 5 basics of optimal health come into play. Usually within a week, you will experience a feedback loop mirroring your new thought form that will give you an aha moment of realization. More often than not, physical symptoms will show a transformation by the end of a session. A client will breathe easier, have less fear, have determination to accomplish a goal, etc. You will often find metaphors in all aspects of a Lifeline session. Keep in mind an important adage that applies throughout this entire discourse. It was Plato who said, "As above, so below, and so below, as above." We have all heard the term, but those with the eyes to see, amazing things will be revealed. The magnificence that is the oak tree is programmed within the acorn. The acorn is planted in the earth, where an incubation period occurs. From there, the acorn first grows roots down into the soil and begins to shoot up. There is an impelling energy that thrusts upwards towards full manifestation. The end result being the actualized glory of the full oak tree. Is a thought form a seed? Absolutely. Where do you plant it? You plant it in the nutrient-rich soil of the subconscious mind. Your thought form, the purity of your intention for a Lifeline session, is planted in the subconscious mind and seeks its full manifestation of its own accord. The magnificence of your manifested intentions exists within the seed thought and by the programming you give it, by the purity of your reason why you wish to create it. That is why it is so important to be careful when creating your intention for a Lifeline session or for the manifestation of anything else that you desire. Thought forms are the key to manifesting your reality. I always only focus on one symptom at a time when doing sessions. The reason for this is because I choose to have only the imbalances related to the symptom come up in the session. Think about cause and effect. By doing a session on one symptom, I am removing the causes of imbalance from other symptoms from showing up. At this time, I wish to talk about unlocking the will. As a practitioner, do you find yourself lacking will to run sessions on yourself? It's okay, it happens to many practitioners. We know we should run sessions, but something is holding us back. One of the key factors that drives the will is something called inspiration. It is a thought form in and of itself, and is an amazing portal. Inspiration directs the will. It calls us to action. The first time you heard of the Lifeline Technique and made the decision to learn this process, you were inspired. It directed your will to sign up for a training workshop. Inspiration will determine whether you decide to take any personal development training, a new job, start a relationship, etc. Discomfort, though, can also direct the will by guiding our inspiration to finally seek out healing on some issue or other. Being sick and tired of being sick and tired will push us to seek an end to the misery and discomfort. Wouldn't you agree that it creates a call to action? When we want to know why this or that is happening in our lives, that is called desire. Desire leads to inspiration, and inspiration directs the will. When there is a lack of desire, lack of inspiration, and a lack of will, we often call that depression. How does one unlock even a glimmer of desire or inspiration? Well, we use thought forms. Do you know someone who has experienced or is currently experiencing depression? Think about how this could help them. Even though a person might not feel able to develop any inspiration, they can use a thought form to assist them in breaking through. The first step is asking why. If you can get yourself to keep asking why, it will eventually lead to inspiration. When you hold on to that inspiration as often as you can, it will then direct will to action. That is when our thought forms will be most effective. What do you think will provide true lasting results? Running a Lifeline session and then forgetting about their intention for that session a few days later? Or making it a daily practice to review the intention and continue to act on that intention on a daily basis? Intentions require action long after the session is done. Well, isn't this a thought? Could my intention of harmonizing and in balance with the frequencies of infinite love and gratitude be creating a thought form because of the purpose I give to that frequency by the purity of my intention? Abso-freaking-lutely. I'm not talking about just thinking ILNG. And I'm not talking about just simply saying ILNG. I am referring to thinking, speaking, and feeling infinite love and gratitude. As you are thinking, speaking, and feeling ILNG, where and why are you directing this thought form? What action are you setting into motion? You are telling the universe as a CLP that you are choosing to harmonize the imbalances by raising the consciousness of the symptom's expression. Are you asking? No way. You are telling. Never forget that. You are directing the thought form to be applied to the imbalance. Why? Well, so as to transmute the expression of the imbalance, so that it is released as a dialogue of experience in yours and their lives, depending on who the Lifeline session is for. Infinite love and gratitude. Infinite love and gratitude. Infinite love and gratitude. I recorded a sound wave of my voice saying infinite love and gratitude 3 times. On the left, you will see a bracket. In this first bracket is the word infinite. Immediately following that is the word love. Then there is a space of silence. And then all 3 syllables of the word gratitude. This pattern is repeated 2 more times. The first time I said ILNG, there was no emotion. I was directing my energy towards calling forth this thought form. I was directing my attention. In the second grouping of infinite love and gratitude, The emotion started to develop in my being and it expressed in my voice. Do you notice the difference between how my voice without emotion, the first time, differs from the second part of the sound wave? Now let's look at the last part of the sound wave. My emotions were fully engaged and my heart and my being were filled with emotion and intention. When I did so, you can see the expression of my voice going deeper and directed with purpose. In the beginning of me running a session, I will repeat ILNG at least 3 times so that I'm in the right heart space. For you, it may or may not require as many repetitions. Some may need more. Everyone is different, and all that matters is that you're in your heart space when directing infinite love and gratitude. As the session progresses, you will find yourself being in this heart space as a constant state of your being. That is because in consciousness, that which we focus on expands in our reality, our state of being. We know that emotions are expressions of our emotional body, but where do we get the energy to power them? What is the battery source, if you will? More often than not, a client will start to get tired, and I often see them yawn as we are working on the expression channel in the flowchart. We just previously dealt with the meridians and energy is flowing. Now, they get to the expression channel and it's like there's this dip in energy. We yawn when there's not enough oxygen getting to the brain, right? Well, why is there not enough oxygen getting there? Because a source is stealing the current supply, and that source is our emotions. Our body gets its vitality from 2 sources, the air we breathe and the food and water we intake. The blood carries this oxygen to the whole of the body, and drinking water is the quickest way to replenish the supply. Water is comprised of oxygen and hydrogen molecules, and our bodies need to resupply itself from the energy that we extract from them. We as practitioners who are using thought forms the entire session also need to drink lots of water during a session because we need to recharge. I imagine you all notice that it affects the electroconductivity of muscle reflex testing as well. So, are we informed by our body when we need water? Yeah, we sure are. It will manifest in the quality of our muscle reflex testing. Intuition plays a huge role here, so listen to your body and trust it. Drinking water applies to both client and practitioner because we're both feeling and expressing emotions. And that battery supply in us both need replenishing. After having experienced this presentation up until this point, I am sure you now have the understanding to answer this mystical riddle. So what do you think? Does the chicken come before the egg, or does the egg come before the chicken? The Lifeline Technique is for those who are ready to change. Until a person is ready, there is nothing we can do, right? We are given purpose when we seek to know why something is happening in our lives. The car sitting in a driveway has no purpose for its existence until you give it purpose. It is we ourselves who give something purpose. What is our purpose in life? I say it's to give it purpose. The Lifeline Technique has no purpose until we give it one. We give it purpose by applying not just the technique, but also the philosophy of the technique in our daily lives, which is the backbone of this amazing process. To create this video presentation, I desired to let practitioners know a deeper understanding of the importance of the intention and its role in directing the course of a Lifeline session. And it's something I've been wanting to share with you guys for quite some time. I also desired to know how to create videos for other projects I have in mind. To me, there was no other option but to begin with something designed to help others grow, and that's why I chose today's topic. To close, it is important to know that this subject goes much deeper into the hows and whys, but that's not for today's discussion. It is a proverbial rabbit hole going deep into energy and vibrational frequencies and the deeper understandings of the workings of the subconscious mind and the universal laws that apply to all aspects of this process. Before I end this presentation, I will ask you to take note in the difference in the quality of any future session you do in which you apply this philosophy. If you're running a session where the symptom is physical, as you're getting them to connect to the supercharged emotion, please get them to pay particular attention to the region expressing imbalance and supercharge that area a bit longer than the rest of the body. Use your intuition to guide them through the process. If the recipient of the session is having imbalances in their relationships or to something or someone, you can also apply that visualized, supercharged emotion to that specific area. In other words, if they're feeling fear, anxiety, grief, anger, sadness, or whatever their challenge is, have them visualize that those energy dynamics are enveloped in the supercharged emotion of their intention. Have them also see this supercharged emotion transmute the fear or grief or whatever. I hope that you've benefited from this video presentation, and I thank you for allowing me to be of service. Infinite love and gratitude, infinite love and gratitude, infinite love and gratitude.